Welcome to episode number 11 of the InnerTuning podcast. My name is Richard Matisaw. InnerTuning is a practical system for spiritual and psychological well-being. It was created by Sri Shyamji Bhatnagar and based on his discovery of the Microchakras, 147 stages of human awareness from complete ignorance all the way to enlightenment. Sri Shyamji is the founder of the Chakra Institute, co-author of the book Microchakras, and a world-renowned master of naada yoga, the yoga of sound. To learn more about Sri Shyamji and three-body purifications, visit the website chakrainstitute.com. In today's episode, we will speak with Sri Shyamji about the earth element and grounding. We will discuss how the first chakra and first microchakras relate to the earth element, why they're so important, and practical advice on how to stay grounded. As usual, we will conclude with this episode with another special live chant. To start, Sri Shyamji, could you please explain what being grounded means?
Grounded means that we have appeared on earth. Earth is the ground. From wherever we come from, we have landed on earth. We know that. And when your relationship with the earth is intimate, you feel grounded. If you don't think that you belong to the earth, or you don't fit in your body, or you are anxious about some preoccupations, then your experience of being on the ground is undermined. And when it is undermined, you lack confidence, you lack direction, you become more selfish, greedy, easily angry. All those things cause you then to think negatively. And then instead of having the joy on earth, you interpret this reality to be against you because you are not joining it. You see, you must understand that you are made up of earth element, which contains, our body is earth, solid, but it contains 73% water. And a little fire too. Body is warm. If you eat properly, your body will stay warm. If you know how to breathe properly, your air will be very helpful in the way you feel things. And then the knowledge of what the life is about, not the occupation, not technical, just life in itself. What is the purpose of life? You start to then contemplate on. Because the other four elements are doing their job properly to make you breathe properly, make you think rationally, have intimate relations with family, with your gender, opposite gender, and you embrace life living on earth. So that is the normal state of life.
Could you provide some practical advice on how we can stay grounded?
Yes. If you properly eat 3 meals a day, drink 8 glasses of water every day, and walk on your heel, especially if you have a chance to walk on the grass. Just walk on your heel for 5 minutes and then walk back 5 minutes. Walk forward 5 minutes, walk backward 5 minutes. When you go forward, you walk on the heel. When you come backward, flat foot, total foot touching the ground. This exercise alone will make you feel less anxious or less ungrounded. Then, of course, there are more things you can do is have regular bowel movements, go to sleep early, wake up early, just like the birds, You should be able to hear the birds when your spine is vertical, not parallel to the ground. Don't let the birds wake up before you. The bird brain knows what is the right time to wake up. It's the human brain that is in the dark half the time. So learn lesson from the birds.
One of my favorite things in the morning is sitting and listening to the birds. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Why is walking on the heels beneficial for the earth element?
Yeah, because heel is part of the first chakra light that comes to us. The first chakra light, it starts with the heel. Then it moves up towards the thighs. Then it moves up towards the colon. Then it moves up towards the nose. And finally it lands in the animal brain, in the cerebellum. Because normally the light is attracted, of the first chakra light is attracted by the first microchakra in the seventh, which is what your animal brain is about. And then the gravity pulls it down. It brings it down to the sixth, fifth, fourth, third, second, and then lands in the first. So there is an order. Your brain likes order. Just like the cosmic mind, the cosmos has an order. You don't put a monkey wrench in the order of the cosmos. Occasionally some meteoroid, asteroid can come and make some nuisance. It's just like an accident on a highway. But the norm is that people go to work and they come back home safe. If they drive carefully. Drive carefully. Living life carefully, mindfully, understanding that there is a rhythm. There is a rhythm of the night, there is a rhythm of the day. So, when it becomes dark, your brain is going to produce melatonin. You can turn the light on and fool your pineal gland so it starts to produce serotonin. That's not what nature had intended. Nature intended that as melatonin starts to flow, you go to sleep. 2 hours before the sunrise, pineal gland will respond to the oncoming light, reduce the production of melatonin as serotonin will start to rise. All day long you feel great.
Can you explain the rhythm of the first chakra as our focus today? And, you mentioned the bowel rhythms, you mentioned the rhythms of sunrise and sunset. How does this tie into the first chakra rhythm, and why is that so important for grounding?
Well, when you get rid of the waste material from your body in the what we call the first chakra hours of the day, and you can let people know where to find a prana calendar where they can see when is the energy centered in the first chakra, when does it come up to the second and then the third, and so on and so on. It's usually 2 hours before the sunrise around the equator. Anywhere else, as farther you get from the equator, the less time it takes. For example, in New York area, it's about 90 minutes before the sunrise that you start to stop the production of melatonin and starts the serotonin. So where are you located in geographical terms is very important as well to consider when it comes to the therapeutic style of life which will help you overcome these feelings of insecurity which causes the ungroundedness.
I see. So I know a lot of practices that people do are about bringing the energy up and bringing more energy up and experiencing sort of the spiritual things, if you want to call it that. Talking about the importance of grounding, it seems like oftentimes grounding isn't in that conversation, and it seems like you can't do that stuff without grounding. So I was wondering if you could explain, from the microchakra perspective, what the first microchakras represent and how important they are before anything else.
Well, the first microchakra of the first usually becomes blocked when you go through an unnatural birthing, which is for the woman to lay down and the doctors are pulling the baby out of the body. No animal does that. They squat, easily take advantage of the gravity. When a woman is screaming out of pain because she is in an unnatural position, the baby hears that. Hearing that makes baby shudder, shatter. First microchakra of the first becomes blocked just because of that loud noises. Baby is not used to that. Baby was in heaven. Baby didn't need a change, baby didn't need to eat, it was automatically happening. Now the transition from the inside of the mother's body to outside. We have such a problem with the genitals. We have not understood their function properly. So there is a psychological block. That's why we don't have any schools or any clubs or anything where you learn about life. You learn about a trade. No place do you learn how to think or how to live life. We take pride in when our 3-year-old child remembers 20 numbers or 2 languages. It's ridiculous. The brain is not even developed yet, and we expect them to perform. That's why people are so either very aggressive or they are too withdrawn. Normal people are hard to find, really, who know how to really live life. We know very intelligent people, a lot of great intellects. But what has that to do with living life? Normally speaking, until the child is 6 years old, they should not have to be learning anything. They should learn how to be with nature, how to live life, how to experience the senses connected with the nature. And when you don't do that, there is going to be a consequence. And these are the consequences that you are asking me a remedy for.
Really what I'm hearing is that almost the highest practice is to focus on the first of the first in this context, meaning to be grounded, to connect to the nature that you are. And really to consider that a high practice is something that seems paradoxical for this day and age when that seems like, that's the first of the first is the lowest on the totem pole. Can you comment on that?
Well, you see, unless you have the first of the first open, all the energy that was light when it was in the head, and it starts to descend as the baby comes out of the mother's body, and gradually, chakra by chakra, the light starts to come down. It all has to come down to the earth level. And because of the blockages that happen along the way, because we just don't know how to help a woman produce a baby. I mean, it's not a miracle. It has become an economic thing. And because it's economic, it relates to the first chakra. So our economic system is at fault. There was a time when I was growing up, my father was a doctor. 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody knocks at the door. He puts his suit on and gets his stethoscope and his medical bag and goes out to open the door. He knows that somebody is not well, that's why they are knocking at the door. And he goes with them to their house to take care of whatever the situation may be. That was medical profession. He didn't have a fixed fee. People contributed. Now look at the medical system now. You need the medical assistance. You go to the doctor's office, the first thing they ask you, give me your insurance card. Give me your credit card. All right? Now, tell me what's wrong with you. The nurse will take care from there on. You see, some occupations should be totally philanthropic. And medical is just one of those. People who join the medical schools, they don't join because they will become millionaires. They join because they want to see people get better. Whether the system you agree with or not, a medical system, there is a homeopathic system, Ayurvedic system, and other systems. I'm not making a judgment on the medicine as such, but the economics of it, which is the first microchakra of the society. So when the society is based on a wrong principle, they make it into a business. A doctor's office, a doctor should be focusing on the patient, not the bookkeeper, not the paperwork. I come from the medical family, by the way. My great-grandfather was a doctor, my grandfather was a doctor, my father was an eye surgeon, 2 uncles were general practitioners, 2 brothers are doctors, one is a surgeon, eye surgeon. I have nephews and nieces that are eye surgeons. My sister-in-law is a gynecologist. I come from the medical family, and I've seen how it has constantly deteriorated as the equipment has become more and more sophisticated. It's really incredible.
As far as inner tuning goes, what are some final points of advice on this idea to inner tune with nature?
Inner tune with nature with the help of sound. If you don't believe in the mantras, I would like you to hear a mantra for 40 days and see how it affects your groundedness. That mantra is called Adhyakshaya. 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 Just listen to it. If you can, remember the melody, chant along with it. Ideally, take a purification, a 5-day purification. Cleanse out your colon, cleanse out your liver, your kidneys, your lungs. Make your heart become stronger. See how it affects your feelings and thoughts. That's why we call it 3 bodies purification. There is a thinking body we have. There is a feeling body we have. And all of them can be purified periodically. Just like you change the oil in a car. But for the time that the car is in the garage, you don't drive it. So in humans, they're more complicated. It takes 5 days to do that purification. I have thousands of people around the world who are testimony for it.
Sri Shyamji, I have to thank you personally for doing these purification retreats because I'm one of those people. And my testimonial is the first time I did one, I felt more grounded than I ever remembered. And Adhyakshaya as a chilla 40-day practice changed everything for me. So for people that are interested in more information, you can go to the chakrainstitute.com website. You can find the prana calendar there, which will help with the morning rhythm. And you can find Adhyakshaya as a download. And then thirdly, you can find information about upcoming 3-body purification retreats. And Fortunately, Sri Shyamji is generous enough to be offering those remotely on Zoom now, since we're in this pandemic. So it's a gift for us all. We can be at home and still get great benefit from this work. Getting back to the theme of grounding, Sri Shyamji, could you please explain how the earth element is represented in all 7 chakras?
There is element of earth in the water. The weight of the water is earth that can sweep anything away. An elephant can be swept away. That's how powerful the earth element in the water is. The earth element in the fire can engulf you. The earth element in the air can sweep you away. Try to be outside in a clear field when a storm is coming. It can blow you away. The first microchakra and the 5th is the body of your voice. Some people have a very strong body of the voice, like Paul Robeson, Mahalia Jackson. I'm not mentioning the Indian singers because they are not very popular, but at least in the West you have those voices that have a real solid body. Then the first microchakra and the 6th, that is your identity of who you really are. Some people have a confused identity. They don't know whether they are a male, they don't know whether they are a female, they don't know if they are a bisexual, homosexual, heterosexual. So there's a confusion. There's no clarity because of the norms in the society has been so fixed, and the religions have their judgment, and people who don't know how to expose themselves to themselves creates confusions, creates anxiety. In India we have a group of people, they're called hijras. Anybody who is not a heterosexual or defined sexuality, or they are born that way, that they have a penis and breasts, or a man who has a vagina, but he has beard and he has other male features. So those are the people, they belong to that particular sect. So they have an identity, a group identity. They are not anxious about it, they are not struggling with it. They're just being normal. Whatever nature has given you is natural. So there should be a place in the society. Because our society is more than 10,000 years old, things are defined. People know how to relate to each sect. That's why you have so many religions in India. My God, where do you find Parsis anymore? Not even in Persia. Parsis, they had to flee from there. They came to India. There's a group of Parsis. They're actually millionaires. They help each other. They came as refugees. We have more religions in India than anywhere on the planet. Second melting pot is the United States. But here there is a problem with them. Anyhow, that's not my issue at the moment. But your answer of the first microchakras, all first microchakras, they relate to a prana, a life force called Apana. More pure your Apana is, the more grounded you are in all 7 microchakras related with the 7 chakras. Because the light of the chakras, the body of the light is the first microchakra. The flow of the light is the second chakra. The heat of the light is the third chakra. The movement of the light is the heart chakra. The sound of that light is the 5th chakra. The quality of the light is the 6th chakra. Then the dazzling light that you can't even see is in the seventh chakra. Only time you can see that is when you are deeply asleep. So the purification of this apana prana that influences all the first microchakras is so essential to be able to understand and embrace life at its fullest.
It's so fascinating how each element is represented in each chakra, because conventionally, I remember learning the first chakra is earth, the second chakra is water, the third chakra is fire. And when I got exposed to the microchakra psychology in the book, it just made perfect sense. A quick question on that before I want to ask you a question about Apana. So is it correct to say that the first chakra, for example, is more or less 50% earth and the rest is the other elements and the gunas, and then onward, or is that incorrect?
No, the correct figure is actually 27%. 27% is earth. 73% is water. Rest is all the temperature, the movement in the body, air. But the basic material components are earth and water. That is the shell in which I live. Earth and water. Fire depends on how you feed yourself. Air depends on how you breathe.
Okay. So back to Apana. I know how important this is and how it's not typically understood. Can you elaborate on what Apana is and what it means for it to be purified or grounded?
Apana is a wind. And air has a tendency to move. Air doesn't stay at one place. It has to move. So, when it comes to the movement of the first chakra, the sphincter of the anus, the movement needs apana. Apana prana is what makes it move. That's why we call it bowel movement, right? Now, if you eat 3 times a day, you're supposed to have 3 bowel movements the next day. If you eat 2 times a day, you're supposed to have 2 bowel movements. Some yogis who only eat once a day, they have 1 bowel movement. So that way your apana function is regulated by the amount of food that you are putting into your system. It's an 8-hour transit period for people who eat 3 meals a day. So 3 times is 8 hours each. So you're supposed to have 3 bowel movements. Once way before dawn, once after lunch, and once in the evening. That depends on your rhythm. Apana is purified or stays purified as much as possible when you have a bowel movement 3 times a day. Okay, apana can also get disturbed in your subtle body, which means your feelings. When your feelings are hurt, you have a toxic relation. That disturbs the apana in your feeling body. When you undermine yourself, when you think negatively about yourself, I am not good at this, I am too short, I am too tall, I am too fat, I am too thin, those judgments that we have about ourselves, that disturbs the apana in our thinking body. All these 3 bodies, when you put it in a year, they get a lot of beating. That's how I found the system of the 3-body purification, to help people so that they can feel grounded, they can feel that they can love themselves. You know, Richard, if you don't love yourself, you cannot love anybody else. It's a lie when you tell somebody, I love you. Or it's a codependent relation and you can't do without them, so you say, I love you. That's not love, is it? That's serving a purpose. That's conditional. Primarily, people have to learn to love themselves. Like you put your own oxygen mask first before you put it on your child in an aeroplane. If you don't love yourself, you really don't really know how to love others. Because of your hormones and your insecurity and your loneliness, you are using another person and they are using you in turn. And you are happy with that codependent relation, so you tell each other, I love you. Understandable. But that is not embracing life. That has nothing to do with true state of love. So Apana Prana, like the more you drive a car, the more often you will need to have a servicing done. Similarly, bodies. The more you abuse them, the more purification you will need. I have had people who have sent to me by the psychiatric community. They were all categorized as schizophrenics. Some psychologists send some people who have a schizoid behavior or they are neurotic. Obviously, they couldn't help them. So they send them to me. I put them on a purification. After 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 40 purifications, they start to become normal. Because the disturbing element is the Apana Prana. The more you purify the Apana Prana, the more grounded you are, the more clear thinking person you become. Then you can discover your spiritual self. There are 3 different selves involved. A conditioned self, an authentic self, and then the real self. Most of us don't even know about the authentic self, let alone spiritual self. Most people live conditioned self. Whatever in their culture they learned, whatever vocabulary they have in their head, they use those terms and they just have fun with each other and enjoy life. You don't need to learn about the second and the third selves at all. You can live life with the first one. Many people call themselves happy, but they never know what the authentic self is like. At least in this life. Maybe in some other life they will discover it. They will have to. Because there is no enlightenment. Enlightenment truly really means who you really are. Who am I? That question is rarely asked. Because people live with their identities, whatever they have defined identities. I am an American. I am a male. I am a teacher. I am a husband. I am a son. I am a brother. Local identities, multiple roles. And I think that's all life is. No. That's part of life. That's not all of life.
So powerful. I also want to comment here that the inner tuning system is able, or you're able to indicate where Apana is on a chart. And for me, that was super helpful because hearing the theory is one thing, but on a practical level, having an indication where it is and then doing a purification and having another indication where it is and noticing the difference in how I feel, just like with everything, direct experience is the teacher. And so the actual tangible experience of knowing how I feel when it's above the second chakra and knowing how I feel when the Apana's in the first or second chakra is, so powerful that it motivates me to continue doing the practices and continue doing the purifications because I feel such liberation when the Apana's in the first and second chakra versus above. Before we conclude, do you have any comment on what I just said?
I would like really you to tell us, what do you do? Who are you? Where are you? Why are you interested in all these things?
I'm interested in these things because I was into yoga and spirituality and things like that, but I felt like I was just getting more practices and more advice, and I really felt like I wanted to have a more direct path. And so I experienced some sounds at a training for Kriya Yoga, and I experienced physical sensation from sounds. So I came back, I was living in New York City. I was like, one of the good things about New York City is there's an expert in everything. So I Googled sound meditation or chakra meditation or something like that. And this picture of this amazing man came up on my screen making sounds, and they registered for me. And that was the Chakra Institute website. So I went to a class, I got the book, I read about it, and then I had a consultation with Sri Shyamji, and he made me a chart. And for me, like I was saying, the ability to have a tangible sort of printout of the microchakras, what's open and blocked, and where Apana is, it didn't make a ton of sense for me immediately. But when I matched it up with the book and I read about, okay, this microchakra is blocked, these are the physical, psychological, and emotional implications. It was basically what I was experiencing my whole life. And I was blown away that I could get sort of like an MRI of my subtle body in a way. And so that inspired me to do more and more of this work, and to work with sound, and to do purifications, and to embrace the morning practice and things like that. And of course, it's like you get on the horse, you get off the horse, you get on the horse, you get off the horse. But when you know what it feels like to be on the horse, you continue doing it when you're off the horse. And that's kind of what I was saying about the Apana. At this point, I can kind of feel when my Apana is in a place that is not where it's supposed to be, and I can change my diet and change my morning routine and experience it coming back down, and that sort of freedom that it brings in all these different ways. So the thing I would say is I'm so motivated here to share this work and to do this work because of the direct experience with sound and the inner tuning practices that I haven't found anywhere else. And it makes it so that I don't need this whole elaborate toolbox. I can pick precise tools like a surgeon and kind of understand what's needed and go right to it and have an experience that is joyful. Before we conclude with the short chant, last minute advice for people on staying grounded, helping to bring Apana down in a nutshell. How would you summarize that in a few pieces of advice?
Well, just chant this mantra that I am going to chant. Very simple mantra. It's 2 words actually. GANAPATI DEVA. Deva means light. GANAPATI is the power of the first chakra, mind. So you are going to get more light out of the first chakra. Remember, chakras are giving light unconditionally. You got to be a deserving candidate to receive it, absorb it, and make use of it. Like the sun. You have to expose your body to it. If your windows are closed, you live in a cave, you're not going to get the sunlight. Chakras are no different. Chakras don't get blocked. The windows through which the light is coming, that can block the light of the chakra. So this particular mantra that I'm going to recite will help you get more light from your own first chakra. Ganapati Deva Ganapati Deva Ganapati Deva Ganapati Deva